Hi everyone, I'm Anna Finch from Finch Press and welcome to my channel. If you haven't been to my channel before, I generally do book reviews or reviews of tools and things that authors use for publishing, and occasionally I will also do live writing sprints and occasionally some writing advice things. Now today's video is basically my 2021 sorry 2021 reading list. So these are the books I am going to be reading this year. Most of these books are actually were on my TBR pile last year. I bought them, hadn't gotten around to reading them or finishing them in the case of some of them. So stick around to the end because I have an announcement to do with my debut novel. I will probably put a time stamp like in the description, but stick around. Okay, so first one on my list is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. Now, These Violent Delights is a loose Romeo and Juliet retelling set in Shanghai 1926, which is, well, the roaring 20s. And honestly, I'm like 3/4 of the way through. So I'm actually like 3/4 of the way through, and I'm absolutely loving it. I read most of what I read. I actually read in the car, heading towards the Grampians and Horsham here in Victoria. I was going on a little holiday, so I read most of this on the way there and on the way back home. So I literally was like speed reading. And I still remember, I pretty much remember everything that happens. But from what I've read, I absolutely adore. And I plan on finishing that tonight. So I'm making a video about it and reviewing it in detail. So that's the first one on my list. Sorry. Okay, next one. Save the Cat Writes a Novel. Again, I also started it. And I started putting tabs, mainly for my own notes, so I knew, okay, what each bit was and what I wanted to add in my own, what I wanted to use in my own, book. Well, because I'm actually writing my first draft of my next novel, which is part of the series, which is going to be part of a series that my first novel was the start of. Save the Cat Writes a Novel. I'm planning on finishing that pretty soon, and reviewing it as well. Most of what I read, I will actually review. So, Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Colhurst. I'm sorry if I didn't say your name right. So this one was actually recommended to me by a bookstore employee. I heard them talking about it and it sounded super interesting, so I went and bought it. I had money left on Amazon gift card, so I went and bought it. Basically, it is a loose fairy tale retelling with LGBT plus romance, and that's something I hadn't read before, so I thought it was interesting, and I bought it. Hadn't read it yet. Okay. So the next book on my list is The Deathless Girls by Kieran, Millward, Hargrove. Now, I started reading this last year. I got maybe 40 pages in. Yeah, I'm up to chapter 6. So 50 pages in, and stopped. Now, I do plan on finishing it, because I like to know what happens at the end of the books, even if I don't enjoy them. This book isn't bad, okay, but I'm about 50 pages in and I'm not really getting, hopefully it gets better, but it's not. I don't know if it's my kind of thing. So I'm going to finish it and hopefully I like it, but anyway, Next, Hatchet by Gary Paulsen. Now, it's a very small book. I can get that done in like less than an hour. I don't know if you guys I don't know if anyone's read it before, but Hatchet is set in Canada. It's basically about a person who's from basically a city and crash lands in the Canadian wilderness. Basically has to survive. I've never read it, but I have to read it because I'm actually going to be teaching this year, because I am teaching English, Year 8 English this year at my school. So I'm not just teaching humanities anymore, I'm teaching English as well. So because I'm going to teach it, I have to read it. There's also another book, Untitled Chapter, by I think MacDonald and Bori Prota. I can't remember the names. I have to read as well, but that's not till like the end of the year, so it's not on this list. Hence why I haven't got it here. Next one is Gwenevere Deception. This is part of a series. I don't know if it's a duology. Oh no, it's a part of a trilogy. The second one came out this year, but I haven't actually read it. So I bought this to read because it's interesting. I like Camelot and Merlin and knights and all that. And the fact that it says deception is interesting. It's set from Guinevere's point of view. And it's basically, it says it in the summary, Gwenevere is a changeling. Yeah. So I picked this up because it's interesting. It's a unique retelling of Camelot legend. Most of the time when the legends and Arthurian legends are told, it's told from the perspective of King Arthur or Merlin, even sometimes Morgana or Morgan Le Fay. But I've never seen one from the perspective of Gwenevere. So, yeah. So it should be interesting. Another one. Okay, this is a non-fiction book. It is basically about the Australian justice system and things that are wrong. Specifically by looking at case studies of where people have lost lives as a result of the system, justice being delayed, criminals walking free. Basically, it's all about Australia's wrongful convictions. So it's Reasonable Doubt by Dr. Xanthi Mallet. She writes a lot of books about things like wrongful conviction and all that sort of stuff, miscarriages of justice. So again, I know the bookstore the cashier at the bookstore recommended it to me because I went in to buy Hatchet and Untitled Chapter for English, and I'm like, do you have any law books? And she's like, yep. And she showed me this because my students in legal studies are looking at, towards the end of the year, they're looking at like sanctions and the legal system, the process involved, and I can actually draw on case studies from here rather than just from a textbook. That's why I'm going to read it. It's probably one of the first few ones I'm going to read. I will also review it as well. Okay. So this non-fiction book is all set in Australia, the one I just showed. So is this, Lawyer X. A criminal barrister turns police informer, risking everything. It's by Anthony Dursley and Patrick Kieran. I'm sorry if I say people's names wrong. But this is, again, a non-fiction book here in Australia. From what I've seen, it's written in third person, and it's written more like a fiction text, but it is actually non-fiction. It is about, I don't know how much people know about Lawyer X if they're not from Australia, but basically Lawyer X, or Nicola Gabbo, she was a barrister. She was a barrister here in Australia, and she was the barrister involved with the representing people who were part of the Melbourne Gangland Wars. So things like kingpins like Tony Mockbell and Carl Williams. She was one of the barristers. She was barristers for a number of people who were caught eventually for as part of the Melbourne Gangland Wars. But she became a police informer. She was their barrister and became a police informer, and basically gave evidence or gave information to police that secured convictions for people that she was actually representing. So this is all about her and why. It kind of goes into why she did it, and what was involved in it. So it should be interesting. And again, I picked it up because, again, it was recommended to me, but also because the first thing that my students are looking or learning in legal studies is the principles of justice, and what she does goes against it. When I finish reading it, I'll do a review and I'll talk a bit how it can be used in a legal studies class, even though it's an Australian text. Yeah. Alright. Next one. Weapon by Lynette Noni. Now this is I think it's part of a duology. Yeah, it's a duology. I read the first one, Whisper, and I really liked it. Hence, I bought the second part of the duology. And I plan on, I'm going to read it and review it. Basically, I don't know if anyone's read Whisper, but Weapon is basically controlling powers and basically trying to say, look, it's basically trying to save people who are left behind. It's kind of like X-Men. I mean, powers are similar to X-Men, or Push, the movie Push. Whisper, the first part of it, is a lot like Push, by it's a movie. It's a really good movie. If you Google it, it's from 2020. Like, I don't know. It's from 2000s, early 2000s. It's a really good movie. I think they wanted to make a sequel for it, but they never did. But it's good. It's kind of similar to Whisper. And well, hopefully Weapon is just as good. Alright, next one. A Trio of Sophies by Eileen Merriman. Now, I actually got this as part of... So, Robinson's Bookshop here in Australia, they have basically a blind date with a book. They've got one for YA and adult books. Basically, they wrap the book in paper so you can't see the cover, and they put 3 keywords on the paper, and they will tell you whether it's a YA or an adult book. The YA books are usually in brightly coloured paper, adult books are usually in the dull brown paper. But 3 keywords, and that's all you have to decide whether you want to read the book or not. So you can't read the blurb, you don't know the genre, all you have is the 3 keywords. Yeah, I got 2 books through this. I like the first one, the 3 hours one, which I got through the blind date with the book. So I bought this one. So Trio of Sophies is basically mystery. It's like kind of like a murder mystery, I think. I haven't read it. But, again, the description, if I saw the cover, maybe not something I would have picked up. But murder mysteries, I like. So I'm gonna read this. I'm like just halfway through the pile. Okay, next is The List by Patricia Ford. Now, I'm pretty sure she's an Australian author. Basically, it's... Okay, this one is basically about where... It's a dystopian world. It's kind of like The Giver, only you only have a list of words. So, you know how in, say, for example, English, there are so many words and you structure them grammatically into form sentences. Everyone speaks the list in this world, which is basically a list of 500 words. There are only 500 words in the language, and basically you can only use those 500 words to form sentences and to talk. The only people who know other words, or words that aren't on the list, are the wordsmiths and the apprentice, which is what the main character is the apprentice. And basically, based on this society wants to shorten the list even more and reduce the amount of words that are on the list. It's a dystopian story. I picked it up because I'm like, 500 words. Okay, that sounded interesting. Thought it was a unique twist on dystopian text. So again, this is a duology, I think. And yeah, I picked it up because it's interesting. I'll give a review on it later. I'm pretty much going to do reviews on all the books. Next one, Sea Witch Rising by Sarah Henning. Now, I read the first one and I loved it, so I bought the second one. This one is more The Little Mermaid. This one is not an origin tale of a villain, which is what Sea Witch is. It is a story about the actual Little Mermaid and the Sea Witch's role in that. Hopefully I like it just as much, but yeah. Next one, Scythe. This is part of a series as well. You can see the thing. I pick up books that seem interesting and they happen to be part of series. So Scythe. I picked this up because I like the Grim Reaper. I like the Grim Reaper on the cover. It's a nice cover. So Scythe by Neil Schusterman. I don't know if I said your name right. Basically, the only thing... So death is basically the only thing that can be controlled. Basically, you got a professional scythe, and the scythes are the ones who kill. They're the ones who basically make sure people die. So it's interesting. Picked it up. I like the little tagline on the back though. Thou shalt kill. Anyway, so pick that up. If any of you have read any of the books on my list, let me know what you thought of them down below. Okay. All the Stars and Teeth. Now, it's kind of a loose retelling of The Little Mermaid, I think. I don't know. I like mermaids. I like, yeah. I thought it was a Little Mermaid retelling, a dark one, and I like Little Mermaid. Hence, I wrote a book about Little Mermaid retelling. Yeah. So All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. Again, yeah. So hopefully it's good. I have a habit of walking into bookstores, going in for one book, and coming out with like 3 or 4. And that's probably going to happen more often because I found out my local bookstore offers discounts to teachers. And I'll give more about that later. Last one on my list. Thank God I'm done with this. American Dirt by Janine Cummins. Again, I picked this up because it was about a person trying to cross the border. It's about a person who's Latino crossing the border. And I kind of want to see... I want to see how the Latino people are represented in this. The way that they're written. Because the author, I don't know if they're Latino or not. Let me know down below. But, because there was a lot of controversy regarding this. In the representation of, I think, Mexican culture. So, now, I'm not Mexican. But I am Latino. I'm Uruguayan. Uruguayan indigenous. Yeah, I'm from a Uruguayan. I'm Uruguayan. Uruguayan Australian. Anyway, so it'd be interesting to see the way Latino people are represented in this, and basically just see what the controversy was about. Yeah. Anyway, that's my list, and I've got a chair just piled with the books. That's going to be a joy to put it back on my shelf. Okay, so that was my list for 2021. It's probably going to get longer, knowing me. So, what books are you wanting to read in 2021? Let me know down below. If there's any books that... oh, I knew I forgot one. There is one book I didn't put on the list that I forgot about. It's not out yet. It comes out this year. I can't remember what month. The Ivies by Alexa Dunn. She's a author tuber here, and it's a murder mystery, so I'm like, I wanted to read it. I didn't read her other books because they're romance, pretty much solely romance in space, and it's not, I don't typically like full-on romance, but murder mysteries I like, so I would like to read it, and it comes out. Most likely we'll have to order it from my bookshop rather than Amazon. Anyway, so kind of all over the place. So if you've read any of the books on my list, if you like them or don't like them, let me know down below what you thought. It'd be interesting to know what you guys think about these different books. Yeah. Alright, so now I was running a Christmas sale for my debut novel, Voiceless and Mermaid's Tale. Now, the sale will end soon, within the next few hours, on particularly Google, Nook, Apple. Yeah, Google, Nook, Apple, and Kobo. The reason for those ending in the next few hours is because it's set automatically to end on the 31st of December. Amazon, if you purchase the ebook, because this sale's for the ebook only, if you purchase the ebook through Amazon Kindle, okay, it will be for at least another full 24 hours. The sale will last for at least another full 24 hours. The reason for that is I've got to adjust the pricing myself. So if you buy from Amazon, you've got a bit more time, but the sale will end soon. If you do purchase a copy of, I do recommend you purchase a copy of Voiceless and Mermaid's Tale now during the sale, because depending on what currency you use, you can get anywhere between 40 and 60% off the normal price. Yeah, so I do recommend getting it now during the sale. If you have purchased a copy, I hope you do like it, and if you could leave an honest review on Goodreads or the platform you purchased it from, that would be amazing. It will really help. Reviews help visibility, especially for debut authors and independent authors like me. Alright, so this is a very long video. I'm going to wrap it up.